It's muggy out today, ain't it, Sid? Yeah. Oh. Is this recording? What's this notification? Into the Dojo interview with Dave? Oh, crap, I forgot again. Son of a...
Dang it. Stupid jacket. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of... Oh, God, I gotta catch my breath. Oh, God damn it. Good morning, viewers, and welcome to another... Come on! Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Into the Dojo's Off the Mat series. Now, for those of you who don't know what Off the Mat is essentially where we as the hosts get together and let you guys get a deeper glimpse into what makes us tick as martial artists. This is the place where we're going to be talking about a lot of our philosophies, a lot of our thoughts on martial arts. We may even throw up a couple content videos of, some techniques just to give you a better idea of what we're talking about, if need be. But for today, we just decided to do a little bit of a self-intro, just like Manny did the last week. Today is going to be just my way of letting you guys into my life and what makes me the martial artist that I am today. So just to start us off today, I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction about myself, and then I'm just going to slide into whatever else I can talk about in the next 9 or so minutes. Is that cool? Cool with everybody? Cool? First, the intro. My name is David. You can call me Dave. Usually everybody ends up doing it anyway. I am one of the US-based hosts for Into the Dojo, as well as one of the operators of the Into the Dojo Instagram page. What is wrong with me today? So my martial arts journey started out at a very young age, about 6, maybe 7 years old, I would say. My father used to take me and my brother into the basement where he would teach us how to box and, do a little bit of wrestling. My dad is a former soldier from the United States Army. Shout out to all the veterans out there. Thank you very much for your service. With my dad, he was... One of the things that he always wanted to make sure that me and my brother were able to do was defend ourselves. So he would take us into the basement when we were really young, and he would hold out his hands and he would have us learn the basic punches: jab, cross, uppercuts, hooks. He would have us learn how to use our head movement, and he would even throw in some judo and wrestling from his military days, because he really wanted my brother and I to know how to handle ourselves. We were kind of on the slim side as far as our build back then, and it made it very easy for kids to be able to pick on us and stuff like that. So my dad, he wanted his sons to have the confidence and the ability to know that we would be able to take care of ourselves if put into a confrontational situation. So it started off with that, and then of course, my brother and I enjoyed watching, all the old school kung fu movies and the Shaw Brothers films, and we would dream of being able to do what we saw in those movies. And honestly, this also translated into the video games that we would play. My brother and I are really big fans of Tekken. We love Tekken with a passion, and it was one of the things that really helped sustain our love for martial arts as kids. And as we got a little bit older, my father realized, and he noticed, that we had this big interest growing in martial arts, and he decided to put us in kung fu lessons. We started learning Hung Gar very, very young. We learned with Master Kelly in Buffalo, New York, Black Dragon Kung Fu. And then from there, that is where, for me, the Pandora's box was opened. Because now, not only was I watching Once Upon a Time in China and all the different the Jackie Chan films like Rumble in the Bronx and stuff like that, and it was sliding into all of the old school training that you would see in the movies, and it just became this. I identified with the movies a little bit, because now I was seeing the movements on the film, and then I was learning the understanding behind them while going into kung fu lessons. And unfortunately, back then, believe it or not, martial arts lessons were a lot more expensive than you would think that they were. So unfortunately, the journey into Black Dragon Kung Fu did not go as far as I had hoped. But it planted a seed in me that just would not die. So I started doing my own personal self-training, making sure I kept up with learning the blocks and the punches and doing horse dance and stuff like that. And then I restarted Kung Fu about 7 years later when I was about 13, 14 years old. And from there, I started Hung Gar again, trying to get my bearings back into my roots. And from there, I began understanding truly my love for martial arts and what really made me tick, And like anybody, my journey just progressed on from there. I began diving into a lot of different martial arts over my time. I started in Hung Gar, then I bounced to Taekwondo for a good while throughout high school. And then it wasn't until my college years that I really got deep into the training that made me who I am today. I joined what was known as the University of Buffalo Martial Arts Club, or UBCMAC, as we called it back then. And through CMAC, I was introduced to several different individuals who gave me a wake-up call as far as my understanding of martial arts and why I was practicing. Up until that point, I was still into the fantastical, I guess the stereotypical practice of martial arts, being able to do all the forms and do the training, but I never really had the real life combat experience that came from sparring and, actually, putting your martial arts to the test. So when I got to the University of Buffalo, I ran into these guys who had been not only training for around the same amount of time as I had, but they'd also, had training partners, and some of them had been able to use their martial arts in real life. And for me, it put me at a disadvantage because I did not have the conditioning, I did not have the cardio. I was pretty much a martial artist in theory, but I wasn't a practiced martial artist per se. So when I joined UBCMAC, I was introduced to, like I said, several individuals, one of which actually is our co-host, Mr. Manny McBride. And it was through Manny and the friends that we were able to make through CMAC that I gained what I call a new awakening when it came to martial arts. I began studying Sanda, which is, for those of you who don't know what Sanda is, it's essentially Chinese kickboxing, taking the traditional concepts of Chinese martial arts, and I don't want to say watering them down, but condensing them into their most applicable shapes, and then applying them to whatever, the ring or real life combat, however you wanted to see it. But Sanda is where I really found my life as far as being a martial artist. And from there, I dove into Wing Chun Kung Fu, which is what I still practice to this day. I'd say it's more so my foundation than Sanda at this point. And it also pushed me into competition, where I was able to achieve both gold and silver medals at the Arnold Classic Chinese kickboxing competition. And then that just propelled me into this new understanding of martial arts. I became obsessed with the understanding of translating traditional martial arts into applicable combat settings, or I guess you can call them combatives now. And that was, honestly, I'd say the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Like I said before, I was into a lot of the theories. I was into a lot of the, if you do this and put this lock here, it will make this person do this. But I never really understood, the ideas of simple concepts like, what if you're not dealing with a compliant uke or a compliant opponent? What if it's a situation that does not allow for you to use this movement. What are you going to do? And the need to answer these questions is what really drove me into practicing more so for the aesthetic reasons or because it looked cool, and more so into what would I do in this situation? How would a Sanda practitioner reply to this situation? How would Wing Chun practice respond to this situation? And that really just stuck with me, you know. And of course, I still cross-trained in a lot of other arts when I was in college. Through Manny, I learned some Meibukan Goju Ryu, as well as some Isshin Ryu through the UBC MAC. And just the more I gathered, I started scraping into what was evolving into my own concept of Sanda or freeform Kung Fu, you know? I started looking more so into the histories of the relationships between Kung Fu and Karate, and the history of how, it swooped in through the Ryukyuan kingdom and became like Okinawan Te, and, how those southern Kung Fu arts just really just evolved, and seeing the similarities between the Okinawan arts and the Chinese arts, and it really just continued to grow and still continues to grow today. A lot of the concepts that I practice as far as my martial arts training really dive back into a lot of the forms that I've learned over my Kung Fu career, specifically rooting into like my Wing Chun practice. Like, Wing Chun has been the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. For those of you who are probably wondering, a lot of my Wing Chun was self-taught, to be perfectly honest and open with you guys. I did have some formal lessons when I was training at UBC MAC, but after I left, a lot of my Wing Chun understanding really flowed into like following philosophies of great Wing Chun fighters like Wan Sheng Long, Wan Kam Leung, and a lot of other practitioners who really got into the application portion of making Wing Chun work for real life combat. And I really just became so enamored with the concept and the simplicity of Wing Chun that it really became a big part of my full-on understanding of what Sanda really was for me. Again, this is all my own personal opinion. I'm not saying that this is the way that it should be. I'm not saying that this is how Sanda should be interpreted, because all the different politics and things that are involved. I don't want to anger anybody, but for me, in my personal training, my concept of Sanda is taking the traditional arts, dissecting the shapes and the understandings and the pragmatism behind the movements, and then applying them into what we call martial arts practice. It's been something that I really have been putting a lot more study into over the last couple years, especially with the pandemic hitting. And you guys will actually be able to see a few of these different concepts grow and evolve as we put more content on the page. The big thing about this page that we try to do is really getting to the heart of martial arts and why martial arts is practiced, the realities of it, and dispelling a lot of the stereotypes and the politics and the things that get people, caught up in the what we think martial arts is versus just seeing it for what it is. Again, this is all my personal opinion. You can feel free to leave your comments of how you feel it should go, in the comments below. We're really receptive to those, and we really want to be able to form a relationship with you all as we continue to move forward in this page. But just to kind of, I guess, wrap it up, because I didn't want to spend too much time on here. For me, my martial arts journey has been honoring a big example of honoring the tradition and bringing the tradition into the modern day, in order to not only continue to carry on those traditions, but show people that there is usefulness in traditional martial arts. There is usefulness in practicing these forms, because it not only teaches you how to be aware of your body, it teaches you how to be aware of your surroundings, it also teaches you the scientific principles behind transference of force. And that is something that both Manny, Teddy, and I have been going through and really trying to get to the bottom of. And we look really forward to being able to share this journey with all of you. And for me personally, this will be my first time really diving into putting content on the internet. So I really hope that you all join in with us and just share this journey along with us. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the mat.